Holy wedding cake, this is Flight Check Season 2, Episode 4. We're back once again talking FlyQuest in all capacities, and once again hyped to bring you yet another episode of high-quality content. An off week for the main squad, but hey, finally a good showing for the Academy team. Tonight we'll be hitting some power rankings, expectations, talking about week 1 of LCS 2-0 weekend incoming, I think. And yeah, Academy getting into form. My name is Sandy Toes, and to my left and my extra left are my fellow hosts, Noxwar and Curly Double Q. Curly, how are you feeling? TL has, everyone had EG as these new powerhouses, and here comes TL to just kind of upset the apple cart. Bjergsen reminding JoJo who's boss.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, for me, I didn't catch many of the games, but I mentioned on stream today that once I saw it was EG versus TL, I knew it would be exciting, and that's exactly what I wanted. However, I expected TL to win because everything up until that moment, like they've showed that on the fly, they were able to figure out a really good way to run a 7-man roster and have a lot of good synergy. And then just the power players that they always had on there were just so good that, like, even with EG's really good roster, I always saw them coming out ahead. I was not, however, expecting a 3-0. I was expecting more of like a 3-1, 3-2 sort of deal because, like I said, like EG's been performing really, really well. But I guess yesterday was not their day. And that's okay. But I will say, I'm worried about the FlyQuest lock-in curse after these events.
Oh, no.
Because it's 2 years in a row now where we got in and out in the same exact fashion.
Yeah, I mean,
TL fans are going to be hoping to get us in quarterfinals every year from now on for lock-in.
Yeah,
our curse is their blessing.
Yeah, they just love seeing FlyQuest get drawn against TL. Nox, did finals go to your expectations? Was it the scoreline you were expecting?
So, funny story. My pick'ems for both the FlyQuest one and the Oracle's Elixir Discord one, I had TL beating EG originally, and I had it at a 3-2, TL winning. And that was before the EG match against Cloud9, right? And so I was like, I got done watching that match, and I was like, oh, maybe I need to switch this. And so, of course, I like, yeah, you know what? Why not? And I switched it, and I put EG 3-1. Feels bad. Especially because if I had left it as TL winning, I would have won the FlyQuest pick'ems, and I think I would have tied for first in the Oracle's Elixir Discord pick'ems. So I completely blew my chance at first because I decided to swap and have faith in EG when I should have just kept my faith in TL. But it is what it is. I thought TL was going to be good. I did not think they were going to be that good because I don't think EG played bad. I think EG or TL just came out swinging.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially for me, the 3-0 scoreline was the most surprising part of it all. I wasn't shocked that TL won. They certainly have the players for it. But just the 3-0, that was the more surprising part. I expected at least a game from EG, maybe 2, something a bit more competitive. But hey, got a long season ahead of us, much like we've got a lot of show ahead of us. Quick reminder, usually don't call out subs on the show just to keep our discussion flow going, but we will read any subs off at the end. Got some fancy sub badges for you if you do feel so inclined to helping us out in, supporting the show and maybe, getting some equipment stuff in, and who knows what else we could get rolling with a few bits and pieces of your hard-earned Amazon money. If you can't catch all of the show, the VOD will be available here and on YouTube on our channel, Flight Check Podcast, and the audio version will be on all of your favorite listening platforms as well. So let's just get into lock-in semis and finals. We already touched on it a little bit, but let's just... the pretty brief thing was TL with the 3-1 over Dig. So Dig does what EG could not do and takes a game off of TL. EG with the 3-0 over C9, and then like we said, TL 3-0 over EG. But just like overall in Lock-In in general, I want to talk about like what team was the most surprising for you guys. What team really showed up? I know what my answer is.
I think we're all going to have the same answer.
I think we're
all
all
going to have the same answer.
And on 3, gentlemen.
On 3, yeah.
One,
Yep.
2, 3. Dignitas.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah, I mean, Dignitas was certainly the surprise. And River coming in to the team clutch with very limited practice time, from what we know. And it felt like the team really surpassed everyone's expectations. Now, I will note, they went 1-3 in the group stage, so it's not like they did exceedingly well there. But then it's really the 2-0 over 100 Thieves that has everyone talking. I mean,
oh my god.
Yeah, Curly. I mean, 1-3 in the group stage, 2 over 100 Thieves. I mean, is the hype real for Dignitas? I mean, how are you feeling there?
I don't know. So for me, when it comes to Dignitas, and you'll see this later when we do power rankings, definitely the 2-0 over 100 Thieves really impacted the way I view the team, especially because they barely got out of groups, and then they, take down someone I don't think anyone really expected. Even the most diehard of Dignitas fans probably might have had their doubts. But when I saw Dignitas performing like in that 2-0 and in their other game that they won, like, just when they won, they did it pretty good, and they are good at figuring out weak spots on enemy teams, even ones that people would say they shouldn't win against. And so I think that's something that, top 5, top 4 contenders are going to have to keep an eye out, because I think Dignitas could be a very surprising dark horse for the rest of the season, just based off of Lock-In.
Yeah, Nox, for you, I mean, was there anything in particular about Dignitas that stood out to you in terms of their surprise semifinals appearance?
Just River looks like a freaking god, man. I was super surprised how good he looked.
Would you call him a top 3 jungler in LCS right now? I know that's very off the cuff to ask. I mean, I know that's.
Hold on,
let
me think about.
That's a curveball to ask you right there.
You have Inspired, which I think is top 3. You have Santorin, who I think is top 3.
It's tough. It's tough to break into that, I think.
Oh man, because the thing is, Closer's in the conversation too. Because like, don't get me wrong, 100 Thieves lost at 0-2 to Dignitas in the quarterfinals, but yeah. Closer played amazingly versus River. Like, it was not his fault at all, in my opinion, that 100 Thieves lost that game.
You've also got Blabber and Spica. I mean, I think.
Well, Spica hasn't played, so I can't say.
Yeah,
right
fair
now.
enough.
I'm not gonna consider Blabber. On the other hand, like, I'm not gonna say he's top 3. Like, he looked okay. There was nothing wrong with him, but he didn't look top 3.
Okay.
So I'm really just trying to debate whether he's better than Closer or not. Because Closer, I had no issues with how Closer played at all in this tournament. But at the end of the day, like, it's Dignitas' team that went on to win over 100 Thieves. So I'm gonna have to give it to River for the time being, and I'll put Closer in 4th. But like, it is neck and neck. There's no disrespect to Closer at all, but like, at the end of the day, I just purely off of team difference.
Honestly, I'd say that could be a moment where we argue the top 3 is actually 4, and they're just tied for that 3rd. Because that does happen.
Yeah, I could see that argument too, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think jungle is very stacked in LCS this year.
Yeah.
I think, we've got a lot of really good junglers, so it's going to be really interesting to see how that goes. Speaking of players, who is your best looking or most surprising player in Lock-In? Now, I think we might have some different answers on this one. I'm actually going to go with Bjergsen. And the reason why I'm saying Bjergsen is because people did not know how he was going to be coming into this tournament. We had, people saw him streaming. I was listening to the Dive last week. Zale was talking about this, how like when he was streaming, he honestly did not look that sharp. He kind of looked like a middle of the pack LCS mid laner, and I feel like he really stepped up this tournament and reminded everybody why he is the NA GOAT mid laner. I think, he was the big surprise to me just in terms of like, we didn't know what to expect. Turns out he's still really freaking good.
So it's kind of funny because, and this is going to sound like hindsight's 2020 or whatever, and I'm kind of like tooting my own horn, but I promise, like I didn't talk about it that much, but I promise I had these thoughts. But everyone was sitting here like touting his solo queue and how he looked on stream in Korea and so on and so forth. And I don't know, call me an old school Bjerg fan, but I was like, he's still going to be fine, guys. He's still going to look good. Like, he's still going to be in the top 3 conversation no matter what. Because, I mean, like, there's been years upon years of, like, you cannot go off of solo queue performance. You cannot. And you can also not go look at scrim performance. It's how you show up on stage. And Bjerg has always shown up on stage. So, for me, I didn't talk about it that much publicly, but I was never worried about Bjergsen showing back up at all. I always knew he was going to be another star coming in onto the stage once again for 2022.
Yeah, totally fair. Well, then who would you have as your most surprising or best looking player in Lock-In?
Best looking, I'm probably going to steal this from Curly, in my opinion, was Bwipo. Bwipo looked nutty. Don't get me wrong, he had some int moments a little bit, but like just the absolute carry performance was on par with like Alfari and Lane last year. However, the carry performances continued outside of Lane after that. So for me, I'd have to give it to Bwipo being the hardest carry. I'll let Curly name his best or continue upon my praise, whichever he decides to do.
I was gonna say
I need to think about my most surprising.
You've got a tough one here, Curly, because Nox just stole your player. Because
I mean,
I feel like you were gonna go Bwipo.
Well, here's the thing, because you were saying best or most surprising.
Sure.
So I was like, as much as I love Bwipo, I actually wasn't planning on bringing him up at all.
It wasn't that surprising for you, was it?
No, because Bwipo is the best top laner in the league right now, and he's going to keep being the best top laner in the league, and that's just how it is, unless he faces Kumo, in which case he'll forget how to play the game, because, it's fine. But, in all seriousness, like, I guess, I don't know who I would say is the best, because I feel like there's a lot of people that performed very, very well. But in terms of most surprising, I'm debating between 2. And so I'm going to name them both, and it's for very different reasons. So most surprising player to me, number 1, was Palafox on CLG, because after last season with his stint here on FlyQuest, I wasn't sure what to expect from him. And admittedly, he performed above my expectations, and I feel like he's found a little bit more of a groove with that CLG squad. And kind of like, I wish that would have happened last year, but like, hey, what if players want to perform on their time, as long as they're performing well, I'm personally happy to see it, even if it means it's after they play for us and go to a different team. But I hope like he keeps performing and like gives Takui a good challenge when we kick their butts on the Friday. Or is it Saturday?
I think it's Saturday.
Saturday.
There's only 2 weeks where we play on Fridays.
Whenever we face him, my point is, like, I want him to perform well, just not as well as Takui. But my other most surprising player is going to have to be Ayla. Because Ayla really stepped up for when he had to fill Core JJ's shoes. And those are like size 14 shoes to fill, like minimum. They might even be size 20. And he strapped them on. He had this self-tying laces to make sure they fit right in. And him and Hansama looked just as good, in my opinion, if not like maybe only slightly less good than when Hansama was with Core JJ. So like, I really got a shout out to Ayla for being ready to fill those shoes. And like, I think I touched upon it in our discussions on that bit, but basically the fact that TL had to kind of on the fly run a 7-man roster and they won Lock-In, I don't know if they'd want to do that the rest of the season, but like, I feel like they're like, it could work, because Bradley also stepped up when he had to. And so like, it's just,
I think that don't get me wrong. Bradley played that game really, really well, but I think if you give him more games, there's no way he pops off
Yeah.
like he did.
But Ayla, I do think there's an argument there in being.
No, yeah, for sure. But
I
don't see a world.
He's probably LCS ready. So like, if there are any mid-season shifts that happen and like trades or whatever, I wouldn't be surprised if like when orgs are trying to patch the holes in their ship, they look to TL and be like, "Hey, how much for that guy?" You know?
Yeah, definitely. I think TL's kind of in a rough spot because they've got 6 great players, and they can only play 5 of them, and they can only play 2 imports at a time. So they got to decide which ones are the most important. I do not envy the managerial staff over there trying to figure out who they are going to play out of all those prominent names. Well, that was Lock-In, and if you missed it this past weekend, TL 3-0 over EG. We already discussed it at the top of the show, so not going to go over it again. And now we're going to move on to our first collective power rankings of the season.
I'm going to apologize now.
Yeah, I mean, this is. I'm about to reveal them. They'll be on the screen underneath Curly, and you should be able to get a good look. If you need me to make them bigger, let me know in the chat. But here they come.
Someone get the fire extinguisher ready for Curly's oven.
They are now up. You may have at us as you will. These are the flight checkers. Start of spring. Is this start of spring or end of spring? Are we saying? I thought it was.
I said end of spring was my.
Yours is end
context.
of spring.
Mine was end of spring was my context.
Mine's because there's only 2 round robins, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
in this split,
so mine's first round robin at the very least, and I will check in again. But as it is right now, this is 100% how I'm feeling.
I mean, that is certainly it's certainly a power ranking. Mine is.
I know there's some 100 people in here. Well, actually, you first, Sandy, but I want Curly to try and defend this position.
Yeah. So all I was going to say is, from my perspective, my ranking, and maybe we can, when we each go over our own, we can talk about it from those different perspectives. Mine is a strength right now, how I perceive the teams, but there is an aspect of, okay, I know this team is better than what they showed. Like, I know 100 Thieves is better than what they showed in their quarterfinals matchup. So it's a bit of a mix, but yeah. So let's just go into it. Starting with, let's start with Curly's because it's right there. It's on the left.
It's the hottest one,
and I think we can also just kind of count off the top 2 for all of us right here, because we've all got TL1 and EG at 2. I think this is pretty self-explanatory. We just saw this in Lock-In. TL looked really good. EG looked really good.
Yeah.
And then TL beat EG. So boom. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's pretty solid right there. Now, number 3, Curly and I have Cloud9. Nox has 100 Thieves. Now, the interesting thing here that we got to dissect is that I have 100 Thieves at 4, so right behind Cloud9.
Then we have Curly.
Curly has 100 Thieves down at number 6. So let's tackle this kind of like 3-4 spot, because Curly, I see you've got TSM at 4, and then Nox and I have TSM each at 5. So let's talk this like Cloud9, TSM, 100 Thieves angle in this 3-4-5 realm. So let's start with you, Curly.
Yeah.
100 Thieves. Yeah. Why are they at 6? I think you need to defend yourself to a lot of people.
Boy, oh boy. Why are they at 6? Well, let me tell you why they're at 6. Solo laner mayhem, as I want to say it. And that might be a bit clickbaity. But I have not seen anything from Abadaga that to me resembles his abilities in the summer of of last year. And I feel bad for 100 Thieves for that, because he looked really good when he came in. And I was personally hyped for him as a huge LEC fan. And so like I was like, all right, Abadaga's here to kick some butt. No, like of course they got to first place. And I'm like prepping for this. I'm like, all right, I'm like ready for Abadaga to be one of those top 3, top 4 mid laners, even with all the other interesting mid laners out there. And I just haven't seen it. It's like I don't know. Like I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know if Reaper needs to sit down with him and be like, "Hey, man, what's going on?" But I have not seen him performing up to par. So unless he does, he's a major part of what's putting me down on 100 Thieves, because I think mid laners have a huge impact on the game. But then let's go to the top lane. You guys don't know what you want to do there. It seems like you tried it. You tried tenacity once, twice, and you lost FlyQuest for it. And I think you guys don't know what. Like, I think they said they know what they're doing with the 6-man roster, and then they didn't. And I think that's another major reason why they put me down in 6, because they're trying to do something that looked like it was going to be a good idea. And so far, execution has not been the best. And now here's the thing, right? It's just lock-in tournament. There's still a lot of things to flesh out. Some other teams can perform better or worse and all that stuff. And in these, the time off that 100 Thieves was generously provided by Dignitas, they can probably have some issues.
Wow. Oh my.
Like, and like Reaper is a really good coach, and I trust that he probably is able to work with the players. And then I know 100 Thieves has some good support staff all around. So if they perform as they should, then I will gladly be proven wrong. But then another thing is Sunday is going back to that. I'm not sure how I feel about his abilities as a top laner or not, because some days I'm like, some days I think someday is good, and some days I'm like, what you doing, guy? Like, are you, do you belong on the defending team? And these might be very, very hot takes, especially from someone of my stature in the league community. But all of that stuff, just it seems like they weren't together. Especially their losses looked very, very rough. And also, come on, man, you got kicked out by Dignitas. Like, I know I'm saying they overperformed, but like, you got kicked out by Dignitas.
Well, I mean, this is why we do have you on this show, is for these moments, like, these takes. All right, Nox.
I welcome to be proven wrong.
Let's get a response here from Nox. You put 100 Thieves at 3rd. Why is Curly wrong? Why will 100 Thieves? And from your perspective, you said you think 100 Thieves by the end of spring will be in that 3rd place spot. I mean, what's your reasoning here?
So for me, I still stand by the fact that I think Dignitas just really had a honeymoon phase at the exact right moment they needed to against 100 Thieves. If you look at my power rankings, I still think they'll finish 7th by the end of this spring split. I don't think they'll be good, and I'll get to them here in a little bit. 100 Thieves, yeah, they're having a bit of a slow start, but the thing is, like, this team has a proven track record with the exact same lineup with one added addition, who we've only seen one time. Like, I know we keep hearing Papa say that we're going to continue to see Tenacity get played at some point eventually, but I think it's going to be put against like weaker teams, like what we saw when they played against us. Because let's be honest here, we were one of the weaker teams. We had just lost to a TSM Academy team, which didn't even make the playoffs of lock-in. Mm-hmm. So, like, I don't think we're really going to see Tenacity coming in all that much unless it's against lower-ranked teams, just so that way he can get comfortable and get acclimated and get ready to go. So with that said, I think Evil Geniuses and Team Liquid leveled up too much in this offseason, though. Team Liquid spent some big bang money for Han Sama and Whippo. They were writing checks, and it's just, you can't argue that, right? And then I think Evil Geniuses has taken the time to craft Jojo Pyun and Danny into these deadly American carries that I'm very excited to watch continue to develop in the North American scene. along with the best Western jungler still, in my opinion, and Inspired, on top of the old man boomer himself, Impact, who's just the rock in the top lane. And then you have Vulcan, who was like debatably number 1, number 2 support in North America last year too. Like, this EG team's just good. I think both of those teams did more to level up than 100 Thieves did, but that doesn't change the fact that 100 Thieves at the end of the day were a championship team last year and have the exact same team and coaching staff coming into this year. So yeah, that's why I think they'll still be third over Cloud9 and TSM, who had huge roster shuffles and are working with mixed language rosters.
No, I think that's good. So, I mean, for me, currently I've got Cloud9 at third. And now, of course, this is without seeing their actual roster play. Now, I do believe their entire roster has gotten their visas. LS will soon be joining them. So it should be the full Korea 9, as was promised, starting this weekend. It should be this weekend. I would be surprised if they ran the Darshan, Sven, Isles lineup one more time. So all that to say, I am not, and I need to preface this, I am not like a huge LS like stan or anything. Like, I'm not like subscribed to.
You don't go to church, Sandy?
I do, but not LS's church.
Okay.
You know, so there's that. Now, do I think LS has a lot of good ideas? Yes, I think there's a lot of things he says that are like practical and obvious, and like if you just listen to the way he explains it, it's like, okay, that makes sense. That does seem like it's a bit more of an optimal way to play. I'm more interested in the quality of the players that are being brought over. Summit is insane. Berserker is an XT1 trainee, I believe. Winsome is also very good. Fudge and Blabber are already very good. This is a very good team. And I think that they might need some time to gel, but I've got them at this third place spot to start off. I don't know quite where they'll finish, but I think literally on mechanics alone, this is an insane team mechanically. And I think all they need to do is get their synergies together, and I think they'll be very, very dangerous. 100 Thieves, I think they're still a very good team. I think I feel like this performance in Lock-In was a combination of things. I felt like they looked, A, rusty, B, felt like they didn't take it seriously enough at times, and C, I think there were a couple players, Abadaga in particular, who just did not perform up to regular expectations. And once they fix that, I think, yeah, solid top half of the league team definitely will contend for a world spot again. What I want to talk about, and the big mystery still, is TSM. Nox, you and I have them in 5th. Curly, you have them in 4th. But this is literally all just like on paper. We don't know anything about, is it KDuo? I think. Kaiduo, something like that. And then it's like Shen Yi. Shen Yi. The only players we do have actual data on are Huni, Spica, and Tactical. We know what we've got with Huni. We've seen him for almost, it feels like a decade now. It's getting close. Spica he was MVP last year. Tactical has his moments of brilliance, and his moments of less than brilliance.
Malphite.
Malphite. I feel comfortable putting them in the middle of the pack. And that is because, first of all, TSM, no matter what you want to say about TSM in general, they're not, signing... They don't look to sign bad players. They look to sign good players. They wouldn't have signed these two Chinese gentlemen if they didn't think they were good and could contribute to the team and make them a very strong team. So I have to believe that these players are good and that they will perform well in LCS. But the problem is I just don't know how good they are, and that's why right now, at the start of spring, I've got them in 5th place. Nox, I mean, why do you have... Because you've got your power rankings as an end of spring, so why do you have them in 5th place at the end?
So, for me, part of this is kind of like, I'm very nervous for TSM as an org right now. For people who haven't really been keeping up with the actual organization of TSM, there have been a lot of prominent members recently that have been up and leaving, and there's been lots of complaints. There's an investigation on Reginald right now for bullying in his past. It's not a good time to be a TSM member right now. And so, with that said, the most recent departure was Parth, who's been with the team for over 8 years now, had multiple roles within the team and the org, did a lot of scouting for the team, did a lot of just in general like development for the org itself. And so, I mean, like, I'm sure that's going to have a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Like, people going back and forth on it, basically. Like, it's a very divisive thing. A lot of people are probably very happy about it. A lot of people are very annoyed by it or upset by it, whatever. At the end of the day, I don't think you can deny the fact that he was a very instrumental part to that org, and it should be a huge, like, kind of red flag for the whole fan base going, hey, why is everyone leaving right now? And so, from my perspective, I think this core group that TSM has put together is good. I think I had them, like, when I did my original power rankings after first finding out about the roster, I had them peaking at second. Like, they could absolutely peak second, I think. I don't think they'll ever win, at least not in spring, but they could peak second. But I think they could also drop a lot, too, because I don't know the foundation to make sure this team stays stable is there. This is a very complicated roster in the sense that you have a mixed language roster and Chinese speaking, Korean speaking, English speaking. That there's a lot that has to go right for this to go well. So for me, I'm putting them at 5th just off of pure mechanics, off of pure skill level. But I don't know the team's going to be able to provide the foundation and support and resources that everyone on that team needs to succeed. So I'm going at a solid 5th off of just skill level alone.
Yeah, totally fair. So Curly, you've got them at 4th.
Mm-hmm.
Give me the explanation there.
Because 100 Thieves is in 6. If I put them like that dead ass. Pardon my language there. If I put 100 Thieves higher, they would be just above TSM or C9. So basically, if I didn't feel the way I did about 100 Thieves, C9 and or TSM would all be a step lower. That's really kind of...
I mean, folks, he says it like he means it, and you can't debate that part. You can't debate that aspect. All right, let's get into...
But also, I guess, just to add a little bit, much like you guys say, like, I'm not sure how I feel about TSM. Haven't really seen much of the roster perform. I know Shen Yi, as I believe Ricebox said, was playing well in the LPL, and so I think he's, like, potentially going to be a good support to go with...
Yeah, fair enough.
I forget the ADC right now. I'm sorry. I'm defending myself in 100 Thieves Discord right now.
The ADC for who?
For TSM.
Tactical.
Tactical. Right. Tactical. Oh, tactical. Wow. Yeah, I think they'll be a good combo. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like TSM also, no matter what, they're one of those orgs that they always have, like, solid enough components and, like, retentive structure that they'll usually be top 5, even if you're not the biggest fans of them. And I guess we just have yet to see what these new components look like.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, the next two teams that kind of are common in our power rankings, Dignitas and CLG, and they're kind of all over the place. Curly has Dig at 5, and CLG at 7. I have CLG at 7 and Dig at 6, and then Nox is the opposite of me. CLG 6, Dig 7, but it's all kind of like in this general range. So I mean we can debate the fine points. For me, I have Dig over CLG because I think River is nutty. I think blue was heavily underrated and unfairly so by the community coming in for various reasons. I think Neo is actually a very good ADC, sneakily good in fantasy, by the way, last year.
Noted.
Yeah, dang it! I just gave away my round one draft pick. Or did I? Maybe I'm reverse psychology. And I think Biofrost is actually still very good. I think Bio is good. I think the sus part for me on this roster is Fake God. And that's it. I think it's actually kind of a solid, middle of the pack roster. CLG I have at 7, mainly because, look, they're all rookies. They got to learn a little bit. I think they could be good. I think they definitely can be a playoff team. My 2 concerns on this team are Jenkins and Palafox, actually. I actually don't have as much confidence in Palafox right now, and Jenkins did not look super good, I felt, in lock-in. So that's just how it is there. Luger and Poom, I think, are great. Contracts, I think, is fantastic. And I think the CLG roster could actually, surprise. Just right now, I've got them in that 7th spot. Nox, maybe you want to take it. I mean, you flipped it from me, but I got CLG ahead of Dig then.
Yeah, so pretty much all your points are pretty much my points, but the only difference I would add is I think Jenkins has a higher threshold to improve than Fake God does right now. Fake God's been in the scene for quite a few years now at this point, in which case I've yet to see him really reach that form that he was at when he was on 100 Thieves Academy, right? It's just he's never popped off again outside of maybe a game or 2 here and there. So Jenkins, on the other hand, I mean, yeah, he looked really, really bad. Let's not. I'm not going to beat around the bush. He did not look good. So I'm hoping what ends up happening is Jenkins ends up leveling up. He fixes his mistakes while he was in from lock-in tournament, and then you have Palafox, who I think has actually looked somewhat better than he has on FlyQuest last year. So I think overall it's been an improvement, and I think he can be at least on par with Blue, because Blue's actually been fairly surprising. I thought he was going to look a lot worse than he did. So I think overall, I think the level up creep for CLG is higher than Dignitas. And I think Dignitas only looks so good, and a lot of people are ranking him highly just because of how well he performed in lock-in, but I don't think they're going to be able to replicate that throughout the rest of the spring split.
Yeah, fair enough. Curly, you have Dig at 5. I mean, you already talked at length about 100 Thieves.
Yeah, so we'll remove that from it and take the rest of my rank.
Right, so let's talk Dig. Why do you have them at 5? And what are you not liking as much about CLG?
So like I said, this is more of kind of what I think the first round robin might end up looking like. And I think part of it comes from both of them overperforming from my initial expectations. But inherently, I always had actually, no. I remember inherently when we were talking, I viewed CLG more favorably than Dignitas. But a lot of my favor for Dignitas does come from the river performance, Blue showing up and proving the haters wrong. And ultimately, I think I just saw a little bit more of a team synergy there. Their matches just looked a little bit better than CLG at some times. And I think what it is the skill floor on CLG as a roster, especially because it's banking on a lot of young talent, is technically lower. But I would not be surprised if throughout the season that skill ceiling gets raised higher and higher. Especially because Luger and Poom, coming from 100T Academy and contracts coming from EG Academy / EG period, really, really strong tent poles to the roster. I mean, even though Jenkins didn't look as good in lock-in, he still did a good job last year when he had to fill in for Alfari. And part of that might be because he had Santorin holding his hand. But because contracts is still a really good player, if they can find that synergy, and if Palafox can also find a good synergy with contracts, I think the solo laners can perform even better, and they might even be able to surpass my current power ranking of 7. So I think there's a lot more potential for the CLG roster, but from what I saw in Lock-In, Dignitas is still just that edge above.
Yeah, all right.
Mm,
I mean, if that's your perspective, I think that's a fair one. All right, let's skip down to the bottom. We've all got Immortals at 10th. Sorry to any Immortals fans out there, all 8 of you.
Are we including the AoE Immortals fans in that?
Okay, all 12 of you.
Somewhere TMB or a red kobold's dying a little bit.
Yeah, sorry, Immortals fans. Look, they just did not look good in Lock-In. It looks like they've got a lot to figure out. I don't want to say this feels like a CLG of last year all over again, but
100%.
But the problem is, it's like all these players, in my mind, are like, not all, because I can't say all because Wild Turtle was literally on CLG last year. But like, you could say PoE better than Pobelter, Xerxes better than Broxa, maybe.
I disagree with that one.
I'll agree with you, Sandy. I think he was better than Broxa.
Yeah, last year.
I mean, last year
he definitely was.
But I think in the grand scheme of things, not as sure.
Who was the support for CLG last year?
Smoothie.
I would say Destiny better than Smoothie. And then, yeah, I mean, it's fairly even, but I would just have him like a cut above. And then Revenge versus Finn. I actually think Finn is better, but...
so that's why he's off in the LEC.
But like, I feel like this team is better than the CLG of last year, but it's like, why am I getting shades of 2021 CLG from this roster? So I just don't have high hopes for them. I certainly wish the best for them because they've got PoE, they've got Turtle. We love those guys, really
Who's the
do.
Coach?
I actually need to look this up.
I literally,
because you guys know how I feel about coaching staffs.
It was Gihoto.
It was
He
Gihoto.
got picked up by TL.
Yeah.
Right
hold on.
It's
League P
Invert and Dardoch.
It's Invert and Dardoch. So.
Ooh.
Man, that's a good coaching staff.
It's actually good. Like, I don't.
Well,
it's
one
not
of them
bad.
is good.
Robert Yip is head of performance. Like, it's not a bad coaching.
Invert is
Invert's
good.
So yeah.
I'm a little iffy on the whole Dardoch thing, but hey.
I think 10th is a very fair place to have this roster.
I mean, it might just be growing pains,
based on what we've seen. Okay, so let's hit the final one.
I was gonna say I don't think it's fair from my perspective, but I'm a FlyQuest fan and I couldn't do it.
Yeah. Ooh.
Damn. Ouch.
I mean, if we want to do that, we can go there. So Curly and I have FlyQuest in 8th, Golden Guardians 9th, and then Nox, you have that flipped. However, you were making it sound like you wanted to put FlyQuest 10th, but couldn't.
Okay, so
I mean, yeah, let's just talk about it. And this kind of gets into like our next little bit, which is reshaping expectations for spring after lock-in. Like, clearly we all have a bottom 3, if not bottom 2. That's not a great feeling. So yeah, I mean, Nox, if fandom is all that prevented you from putting us in 10th, you know, what reasons did you have for 10th place?
For FlyQuest to be in 10th or for Immortals to be in 10th?
For FlyQuest to be in 10th.
So looking at lock-in first, I have yet to be impressed by Jose Dioto's play, and it's very frustrating because the org has decided that, hey, this is who we want to go with, this is going to be our franchise player, this is who we're going to play around. which is fine. He's shown in the past that he can absolutely reach those levels of peak elite performance. But I have yet to see I've yet to see it since 2020 or 2020? Yeah, 2020 Worlds. I've yet to see it since 2020 Worlds. Takui has looked okay, and I think at the end of the day, I mean, no matter what, this was someone that we picked up knowing fully well that we weren't expecting to fully perform to his maximum elite potential until probably 2023, right? This is the whole point of this year is we're still developing. It's still another building year. But at least for the time being, I don't think Takui is going to help us perform well enough to break out of the bottom three. Johnson has been he's just been okay. I'm still looking for more from him. Aframu's been great and is probably the only saving grace of this team right now. And I'm really hoping that he, along with the coaching staff, can get this squad together and they can prove me wrong, because it is the one gleaming hope that I have. And then Kumo is kind of on the same end of I'm not expecting him to ever really carry games. He had the one Gwen game, which was awesome. It was beautiful. But as of the time for now, I haven't seen it consistently. We've only seen that one game. If he starts pulling that out over and over and over again, I might change my opinion. But for the time being, I only have that one game to go off of, and that's not enough. So I need to see more. Because you compare this to Immortals, who I put in 10th, but I feel like I doesn't deserve 10th. You have Revenge in the top lane, who's bottom half, but still solid. You have Xerxes, who I have a lot of respect for. I think is still a great jungler. You have PoE, who's a top 3 control mage player in the league right now, if not higher. You have Wild Turtle, who in the past I know can perform. Someone call a Red Kobold, because it may be time to bring Meechon up. Who knows? And then you have Destiny, who really the worst part about this Immortals roster is probably the bot lane. But the thing is, the top half, as well as the coaching staff, they're really, really good. And because what was y'all's power ranking for this squad before this tournament? I had them at 6th.
I had them up there for sure.
For Immortals or for FlyQuest?
For Immortals.
Yeah, I definitely would have had them in that 6th, 7th range for sure.
See, yeah, don't get me wrong, they had a crappy lock-in tournament, and it real bad. Just there's no excuse for it. But at the same time, there is so much talent and there's so much experience on this roster and this org that I feel like I'm actually doing a disservice putting them at 10th, and I just didn't because I'm a FlyQuest fan. Then you can kind of get into the Golden Guardians discussion, but we can get into that here in a second.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but I do agree with a lot of what you said. Mm-hmm. It hurts to talk about Jose like this, but it does feel like it's just not been what was promised. I'm still waiting to see what we saw at Worlds 2020. Like you said, I'm still waiting to see that level of play and control and finesse. And I just feel like we haven't seen it yet, and you have to start wondering at some point, okay, when will we see it? And then the struggle is that apparently NXI didn't work out, so we don't have a young gun hotshot jungler in the wings ready to go because Yuji isn't ready to start LCS, not even close. So, and yeah, so if you're this is a completely different discussion, but if you're looking okay, 2023 is the year we're gonna really look to compete, you have to ask, it's okay, is Jose really the guy that we want to be going with to help lead this team as a team veteran? But then if you're bringing in someone new, it's okay, now you've completely changed up the synergy once again. So yeah, it just feels like caught between a rock and a hard place. So
I was gonna say, and we don't have to talk about it now, but remind me, this is a great transition point because I do want to talk about Yuji when we talk about Academy here in a second.
Yeah, we'll talk Academy in a moment for sure. Curly, I mean, any thoughts on what Nox and I have been saying here? You also had FlyQuest at 8th over
Yeah.
Golden Guardians. I think for me there, I just don't have a ton of faith in Golden Guardians. I don't have faith
yeah.
in the lost Ole bot lane.
Yeah.
I think is what it is for me. It's a struggle for me there.
Yeah, I think for me a weak point is certainly Golden Guardians bot lane. And I don't know why. It's just when I think Golden Guardians, I I feel similarly to the way I do when I think about Astralis in the LEC, and that sounds so mean to say. Because I don't believe
Yikes.
Astralis. Yeah, and it's because like I still hold them in better favor in terms like if you compare them side by side. I think Golden Guardians can actually they've got a higher performance potential that in the LCS than Astralis does in the LEC. But I don't know. It just they don't to me read as a very winning org, and I don't like sometimes their gameplay does look on point, sometimes it doesn't. There's lots of inconsistencies, and that's not to say we're very consistent either. Like I think I had one day this whole lock-in tournament where I was actually truly satisfied with their play, which was the 2-0 day, and then everything since then I was like, kind of rough because I think, and this is I guess more arguing why I have us so low at the 8th is I think we just got like aside from not seeing what we want from Jose Dioto, which think you guys have talked off enough. I think just from the team perspective, lots of coordination problems that I really, really don't like, and it makes me so nervous. Because I don't know. I don't know if it's just lock-in jitters, getting back into it, or if this is going to be something we're seeing throughout the season. Because if it's 3-4 weeks in and we're still seeing Kumo ulting early, Takui coming to fights late, Johnson like being out of position, Jose Dioto holding on to a Herald when he shouldn't, like little things like that, that's going to make me very nervous for the whole year unless we make some dramatic changes. But what makes me not put us in the bottom two is, and this might be some rose-tinted glasses, going back to our conversation with Alex, with Sharks, at the end of last year, and the way he views the team, and the way he told like us that he wants to run to the team, it inspires confidence that we might be able to actually clean up these issues. Because if a team isn't coordinating well enough, there's a good chance it just has to do with personalities not meshing together or still trying to figure out that team identity, which is understandable in a lock-in tournament because it's, just the first time truly performing outside of scrims, because scrims versus stage is always going to be different. And so just I'm really putting a lot of faith in Sharks and Richard to really bring this team together and find that FlyQuest identity so they can extract that potential from Jose Dioto that we saw when we picked him up at the end of 2020. And so we can push Kumo above everyone's expectations for him, because I feel like not many people are looking to him to be very impressive. They're like, he's going to be there. And then the Takui, I'm not worried about it at all, if I'm being honest. I think once the team steps up, he'll be like, all right, you guys finally joined me. Same with Eframu. And then Johnson is always someone I'm watching closely because he has looked better with Eframu. I still want to see more from him. And so that's kind of like why I have them down in 8th, but not all the way at the bottom.
Cool. That's great. All right, getting on towards the end of things here. Let's talk Week 1 LCS because, believe it or not, lock-in's over, and now it's time for the Week 1 of the spring split. So, first match of the season for us, Counter Logic Gaming, on Saturday. Let me double-check the time on that. Looks like 5:30 estimated, second game of the day. And then Golden Guardians on Sunday, 4th match of the day, second to last, so maybe 6:30 or so. Let's go down the line, get some predictions. Let me see if I can get the thing lined up. Almost.
Dang, I didn't even realize you had it all on one page.
Wow, this
All right.
is
so slick.
There we go. All right, look at that. Crazy graphics here on Flight Check. Curly, CLG versus Fly. Who you got taking it?
Despite my power rankings, I think we will win out on.
All right, FlyQuest. Ooh, I gotta make that bigger. Boom. All right, FlyQuest for Curly. Nox, CLG versus Fly. Who you got?
Like, do I let my pessimism out or not?
I mean, I might be.
Honest.
I might be.
You need to be
So
honest.
I might be.
Because that is a crucial thing, even if we don't like what we're saying. We honest.
I'll be honest. You want me to be honest? I actually do think Fly will take it.
Ooh.
I think right now Kumo's performing better than Jenkins. I think Jenkins will continue to level up over the course of the split, but I don't think it's. I don't think he's there yet. So I think Kumo will be a key factor in their win over CLG on Saturday. On top of the fact that I think, just in general, the only thing, and we'll talk about this in the weekend forecast, which I'll talk to you more about later, Curly. Main thing we need to worry about is probably the bot lane matchup, but I think the top lane difference for us will be what helps us take this win.
I'm going to be the pessimist.
Ooh,
I'm calling CLG. I just... Maybe it's a bit of a, like, until I see the improvement, until I see the wins coming through.
You need the reassurance.
I need the reassurance. I'm just not feeling it yet. So, there's that. All right, we'll go snake order here. I'm sorry. No, I'm gonna.
You think it's gonna be an 0-2 weekend?
No, I'm going. It's a 1-1. It's a 1-1.
You
Hey,
think we'll be Golden Guardians, but we're gonna lose to CLG?
You know what I've realized just now is that unless it's a super week, we can't have 1 and 2 curses anymore.
Yes.
True.
We cannot go 1 and 2 every week. So there's that.
But we
Riot actually saving us with this scheduling.
Yes,
but
exactly.
can go 6-12 in a split.
We can. We still can go 6 and 12. Nox, Golden Guardians versus FlyQuest.
I think we should also take this one.
All right.
Bot lane's a better matchup for us. I think Takui should be able to handle a Blaze Olive pretty well. I really haven't seen anything about Pride Stalker this offseason. I mean, who knows? I know he was okay over in Europe, but
I don't even. Did he make it over to North America?
Actually, I don't even know. So Pride Stalker is a big old question mark for me right now. And so if Pride Stalker is not even here, then I think it's Iconic who's playing? Question mark. I don't know.
Cut the tape. Cut the tape.
Either way, I think it'll be okay. And then I think Kumo should be able to handle Licorice, but that's definitely going to be the weak side matchup. So it's very interesting because Saturday is going to be Kumo should be winning top side, and then it's on Sunday Kumo should be playing weak side, which should be very fun dynamics because then on Sunday our bot side should be the stronger one. So we should really be seeing like how our teams do on different pressure points.
Yeah, which will be really cool to see us play maybe some different styles to start of the season. Curly, yeah, round it out. Golden Guardians or Fly? How we feeling?
So for me, when I think of this matchup, I really have Golden Guardians are going down because we're just better than them.
You know, I think that's a fair and reasonable take. So, you know, there it is. 2 O's for Curly and Nox, and a 1-1 for myself. But look, it's a pessimistic 1-1. So that's that. We will have our first weekend forecast of the year coming out this upcoming weekend, Thursday or Friday. We actually don't have to get them out until...
Well, look, I was going to say, let's not pressure Curly here.
Yeah, we don't have to rush them out this year anymore because there's no games on Friday. All right, last final couple things to hit. Where did my document go? There it is.
Yes, Rice. We could talk about Yuji.
Yes, we're about to talk about Yuji. Academy. They won some games. Let it be said, nobody beats FlyQuest Academy 7 games in a row. They are officially 2-6 on the year. 1 series win, 3 series losses. And hey, honestly, the series win that they had looked pretty good. I actually think this week looked better overall for the team. I think, I think things are looking up. I mean, Nox, I know you watched the Academy games a bit more than I did, so I mean, how are you feeling about it?
So, it's funny because obviously we're sitting at the bottom of the standings right now. But I've said from the very, very beginning, though, like, I don't care about our standing in Academy, the split, or even the season. What I want to see is improvement. And guys, I have got to tell you, I am freaking happy right now with how we're looking in terms of improvement. Like, we are actually improving a ton. And I wanted to point out Yuji specifically because his first weekend that we started, it was just solo queue. It was just straight solo queue, just unfiltered aggression. I'm going in, I'm taking these objectives, I'm taking this fight. Team, you need to just back me up. Go, 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 go. And honestly, like, that's kind of basically what I expected and what my understanding of what Yuji was going to play like, right? And so, obviously, like, it cost us games, it cost us fights, and it was like, everyone's like, oh, God, Yuji, you got to pull it back. You got to pull it back. And so, yeah, and basically what ended up happening was you could tell the coaching staff is slowly getting to him little by little. He's understanding when he should go in a little more. He's understanding the objectives that he needs to fight for a little more. And the whole team's starting to play around him a little bit better, slowly but surely. But there's a lot of aggression in it still, and I hope to God we can keep that aggression. Because if we can hold that and we can get him prepped for it, I'm not saying it's a surefire thing, but if Jose just does not end up performing at all the rest of the season, because like I said, I think Jose's FlyQuest franchise player, he signed through 2023. Like, his contract doesn't end until November of 2023. But if Yuji, like, really continues to improve at the level that I think he's improving at, and Jose just does not, I could see a world where FlyQuest takes the risk. And they're like, Yuji, you're coming in for LCS 2023. But granted, like, that's miles and miles and year, like a whole year away. There's plenty of improving that still needs to be done, but he's on the path, guys. Like, I'm hyped for Yuji. He's got the right mindset, I think. I'm super excited.
Yeah, and hopefully it doesn't turn into another NXI scenario where we're all excited to have this, like, aggressive jungler. He looks really good in Academy, guys. Wow, we even put him on the LCS stage a little bit. And then, oh, nope, just wasn't really working out. And then NXI just kind of, like, you know, goes off to CLG Academy or, you know, wherever he goes. Or Yuji goes off somewhere else. So hopefully we don't get a repeat of that scenario, and we do develop a aggressive star jungler for the team. Curly, anything you wanted to say about Academy before we wrap up our league talk?
Unfortunately, due to schedule last week, I was not able to catch games, so I do not have much input this episode.
It's called VOD review. I mean, duh.
What are you doing all day? Just streaming, Curly? Come on. It's not like you have your own personal project.
Are you, like, in college or something? Like, how dare you take classes?
And doing an internship and working at a bar to make sure I can live.
How dare you pay your bills?
Oh my God. I mean, look, if people want to start subscribing to me and, like, give me money.
Subbing to Flight Check, you know.
That too. Me and Flight Check. Yeah. So we all collectively get money so that I don't have to work other hours and I can dedicate more time to watching FlyQuest and, I don't know, making content. Perfect. Like, all for it. But people need to do that, so I don't know, guys.
Hey,
bust out your wallets.
Well, that's about it. Academy, let me see who they are playing this week. Apologies for not having that ready to go. This week it's CLG Academy, but also 100 Thieves Academy. And here's the thing. Those
Wait, what?
two... It's... Yeah.
We're playing them again already?
I'm sorry. No, I misread it. We're playing Golden Guardians Academy.
Okay.
Oh,
we're we played 100 Thieves Academy first week.
Oh, it lines up with the teams that we're playing in LCS.
We're copy-pasting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I will note, though, CLG Academy, very good. 7-1 so far.
That one's going to be a bit of a...
That might actually be the tough one. And Golden Guardians, 4-4. So some tough matchups this week. We'll, yet to see how things pan out for the Academy team.
So what we'll need to do is just go 0-2 CLG, but then 2-0. So then we'll be 4-12.
4-8.
4-8 overall. So then we'll FlyQuest 1-2.
What I'll be curious to see though is if Triple's back yet or not, because it's been Palafox playing in Academy for the past 2 weeks. So Triple comes in and he's feeling kind of cold because he hasn't been playing with the team and the squad yet. I don't know. There may be room for to snag a win in there, but I'm not gonna have high hopes either. I really just want to emphasize I don't care about standings for this squad. I just want to see improvement, and if we continue doing the ramping up that we've shown for the past 2 weeks, I'll be if we show improvement, I'll be fine with an 0-2 loss. I don't care.
Yep. Last topic before the close, just a Smash update, a mini one. KoDoRiN did play in a tournament this past weekend.
Ludwig!
He played in the Ludwig tournament. I'm sure there are VODs of that somewhere. Nox, you said before the show, how did he do again?
It wasn't anything special, but it's been better than his other 2 major tournament showings since he's been signed. He ended up winning an upper bracket round before losing, and then dropped down to lower bracket. Ended up winning another lower bracket match, and then finally dropped out there. And I think it was a top 16 finish.
Okay,
I think overall, which not bad, but hoping we could see more in the future as well.
Yeah, he knows. He knows he can do better. I think he's tweeted as such. Incidentally, if any of you out there know a lot about Smash terms and all the technical jargon that goes on in Smash, hit me up. Shoot me a DM. I would love to learn more so that I can more adequately cover it on the show. That'd be super cool.
Mm-hmm. Always down for new knowledge.
Always down for some new knowledge. Well, that is the show. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to this episode of Flight Check. Hey, LCS, it returns this weekend, Saturday. There's only two days of action this weekend. It's not a super week yet. Looks like first games start at 4:30, so broadcast probably starting at around 4. We'll be there. We'll be in the chats. We'll be watching. Hey, it's LCS. It's back. Isn't that great? Be sure to follow all of us on Twitter for our instant reactions and thoughts. You can follow the show at Flight Check Crew, myself at SantosDB, Nox at Noxwar with 2 R's, and Curly at Curly_QQ_. Hey, make sure to hop into the Discord, the Flight Check Discord. It's a great place. All kinds of esports discussion and fantasy LCS discussion takes place in there. If you are interested in joining a fantasy LCS league, I think we've got maybe 1 spot left in the Flight Check.
No, a red kobold.
Oh, it's full. Well, if anyone wants to,
if there's enough demand, we can.
If there's enough demand, we could create a second one easily. If you missed any part of this episode, the VOD will be up on YouTube tonight. The audio version of this episode should go up on Spotify and all of your favorite podcasting platforms tomorrow morning. If you're listening to that right now and would like to catch the show live, we broadcast the episode every Monday night live. No takebacks. What we say just goes out into the atmosphere. I could say pickle juice. And look, now it's in the show. I say pickle juice because I had a pickle with dinner tonight. It was pretty good. Anyway, the show is every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here at twitch.tv/FlightCheckCrew. Hey, Curly, any final notes before we wrap up?
Any final notes? What I will say is I would like to give a huge shout out to 100 Talk Pod and community
Ooh.
for not burning me at the stake yet, despite all of my antagonism.
Are you sure you're not banned from their Discord?
I am. I am actually.
Double check what Discords you have access to.
I do have access to both of them. I haven't been persecuted yet. And also, ultimately, I do want to give them a shout out because I know, despite my toasty takes that have occurred today, and some misbehaving in the 100 Talk Discord, all in good fun, of course. They are all they're all very good people, very enjoyable, and I know at the end of the day we can still have a good time. And they'll give me all of my flame right back when 100 Thieves starts surpassing my expectations. And so shout out to them for being good sports.
or the moment they beat FlyQuest.
Or the moment they beat FlyQuest.
Yeah, if they beat FlyQuest, that's all right. I know when I throw it out there. If I get flame, it's going to come back if it's needed, and that's okay.
Hey,
that's okay.
Nox, how about you? Any shout outs? Anything to say?
I got two things real quick. I just got a message from Karen, who's the FlyQuest marketing manager, giving me confirmation that I can give out a FlyQuest jersey as the prize for the spring pick'ems that I'm doing in the FlyQuest Discord. So please make sure you participate. I'll have it officially posted here in a second. But yeah, so the reward for finishing first in the FlyQuest pick'ems in the FlyQuest Discord will be a FlyQuest Sakura jersey for finishing first. So keep an eye open for that. Make sure you participate. I'll make sure you guys get at least just one ping a week as a reminder to get your picks in, all that good stuff. So good luck. We're all going to need it, that's for sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, and the last thing I was going to say is please go support Amateur. I'm actually the referee for either Golden Guardians Academy or 100 Next tomorrow night in the finals of the Proving Ground qualifier. So please go watch that stream, go cheer on those guys, go support the amateur scene for North America. They need it, and I hope that a lot of those players end up making their way into Academy and LCS eventually one day.
Absolutely. Yeah, hope for at least one LCS Pick'ems ping per week from you, Noxwar. As for myself, hey, yeah, go support the Academy boys. Please support the LCS boys this weekend. Give them lots of love on Twitter. Make sure you're interacting with them and letting them know that we love them and that we wish them all the best. We will be back next week at our regularly scheduled time to discuss the first week of LCS. So for now, stay safe out there. Don't forget to hit the head on the nail. And we'll see you all very, very soon. Adios!
Have a good one, guys.
Peace, y'all.